Did you ever wonder why Jesus doesn't just like say, zap, let's make a kingdom and it's all done and you all believe in me now? Did you ever wonder about that? We're going to think about that today on Now at Devotions from Trinity, Lutheran, and Cyrus. We're in the book of Matthew today, and Jesus is just identified that Peter is going to be the rock that he's going to build the church on, right? Imperfect Peter. And then it says they were doing some stuff, he was teaching, and it seems like some time has passed, not a lot of time. And he says, by the way, this is what it means for me to be the Messiah. I'm going to have to go to Jerusalem, and then I'm going to die, but then I'm going to rise again, and then things are going to get rolling, right? More than they already have been. And Peter says, forbid it, Lord. No, that can never happen. And Jesus says this sort of wild thing. He says, get behind me, Satan. You are putting your mind on worldly things, human things, instead of divine things. Now, that's a very specific response. And I think it would be helpful to keep it in the context of, in the beginning of this book, Jesus is tempted, in all of the Gospels, he's tempted by Satan. He's led out into the wilderness. So, and the devil tempts him to do three things, right? Now, let's just remember what they are. First off, the devil says, hey, you're super hungry. You've been out here for 40 days. Use your power for yourself. Just feed yourself. You can do that. You have power to do whatever you want. Why don't you do that? Jesus says, no, God's word is enough for me. And then the devil takes him out again and says, hey, how about you show everybody that you are the Son of God? Because you folks don't really believe that stuff. Well, you need to show them. How about you throw yourself off the temple and the angels will pick you up? And then they will all know, and that word will spread, and it'll be done. Jesus says, I don't need to test God. That's not how this works. And finally, the devil takes him up to the pillar of the temple and shows him all of the cities of the world, all the people of the world, all of the world, and says, you could be in charge of this. You can run it however you think you want to run it and get it done. And Jesus says, my Father's will is enough for me. Remember those three. And if we can do that, then I think all of a sudden this verse makes a lot of sense. I've often wondered, why doesn't God just zap us all in the head and be like, here's what's going on, get it right? And I think we have to keep in mind, Jesus is trying to build, he's not trying, he is building a kingdom based on trust, love, relationship. People who have learned to forgive and for eternity will be able to be together without him having to squish them or oppress their freedom, with them making their own freedom and their own choices, but also consistently choosing love, trust, freedom, and trust specifically in God, love for Jesus and for their neighbor, right? To build that kingdom, you can't force it. You can't force love. You can't push it. It doesn't work that way. You can't force trust. Those things don't happen that way. And it's the same thing with these temptations. Jesus is in relationship with God. Jesus trusts God. Jesus is one of those three of the 3 in 1. And that relationship doesn't work that way. And if he were to operate in a different way, he would not be who he is. When Peter says, Lord, this cannot happen this way. You cannot go, you cannot die. He says, get behind me, Satan. The temptation is, no, Lord, use your power to be a different Messiah. And he says, no, I am this one for a reason worth dying for. That's your thought for this week. What does it mean that the kingdom we're going to be in is a kingdom of trust and love, that it can't be forced? And as we look at the world, how will we be patient knowing that there's so much foolishness and anger and hatred and sin around us, that all of that is an opportunity for forgiveness, trust, and love? I'm Pastor Chris from Trinity Lutheran Church, Trinity Lutheran in Cyrus, signing off for now. Bye-bye.